All right, welcome back. I wanted to expand on something I said in the last tutorial, that if you learn, you can do a much better gradient. And it should only take about 3 or 4 minutes. I'm going to hit the E key to create an ellipse. I'm going to hold down the Control and Shift key to make that ellipse square. Now, if you notice, Inkscape will let you not do square, but it is locking it. So if you get to about the 45-degree angle of the shape, it will do it square. Now with that selected, I'm going to hit the S key, and I'm going to hold down the Control, the Shift, and the C key. Hit the N key, and you'll notice I have 4 points now. Before I only had 3 points, but that's because it was still an ellipse. If I hit Control, Shift, C, it's now a path, and it has full curves. Okay. Next of all, for the color, I've set the opacity, the alpha, to 50. Okay, so I am going to hold down the Control key, hit D to duplicate, and I'm just going to drag that in a little bit. Now, the less I drag it in, you will notice that up close, it's not that big of a deal. But out here, it will start to make it look more beveled if we kept it this way. Let's go ahead and keep it this way. Hit the Control D. This doesn't have to be exactly an eye, although we do use this on the eye. Hit and drag it in a little bit. Hit the Control D and drag it in a little bit. So each level is getting a little bit more opaque, a little bit more solid. And the reason is they're on top of each other. Now, I'm going to hit the N key. I'm going to select all of my shapes. Inkscape. Okay, and then I'm going to select all these points. This is where it excels over the built-in gradient. My gradient actually follows. Now I realize that these will only be about a pixel wide, a pixel apart if this was truly a gradient like the radial gradient. We don't have enough time to do that many shapes. Or you wouldn't stay around, it would get very boring. But whatever I do with this shape, it's going to follow it. But I don't really like having that back end a lower color. And let me show you why. I create a rect or just create some other shape. I'm going to give it complete alpha. And I'm going to drag it and I'm going to send it down to the bottom. And it affects the colors. It affects all the colors. I don't necessarily hate that in this case, but it's not what I want. So I'm going to select my bottom shape. I'm going to keep an eye on which shape I'm doing. And then that's the shape I'm about to cut. I'm going to select the shape right above it. I'm going to duplicate it and put the duplicate up here. I'm going to hold down the Control key and select both of those and hold down Control minus key. Now, because we're using opacity, they look like the same color, which they are, for a few more seconds. But if I grab my outer shape, I can see it cut the hole out of the inside. Now I'm hoping it didn't give me the problem. Okay, but I'll still show you the solution to the problem. Although it didn't give me the problem, let's go ahead and do a few more. Maybe it'll mess up another one. So now I want to do my second shape here. So I'm going to duplicate the third. Select where you duplicated at the top in the second one. Control minus. Once again, it killed the opacity. Now I'm going to select my fourth shape, duplicate it, and then select my third shape. Control minus. They're all the same color. And it probably didn't give me the problem not even once. Okay, so sometimes it will insert points in here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that now, because that's where the problem comes in, is when it inserts a point. That when you do the Control minus and you cut the hole out, that's where the problem comes in. But now for all these shapes, I need to turn the opacity up, and I need to control the color manually. So I want the bottom to be the darkest. And I'm just going to do them a little bit different. This is just the manual gradient. you know, it's pretty much exactly how a radial gradient works. But, I'm not making the bottom darkest anymore. But you just have more control. Now, whenever I grab these, if you got the extra point, here's the problem. Once you do this, notice that point's still up there and it's messing with me. It's literally covering up things. It didn't follow our path. So you do have to adjust this yourself. And that can be annoying. So I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to put it directly on that line if possible. No, I didn't want all of them selected. Put it as close as I can to be, and that will help us out a lot. And then I just have to correct it myself. And that's how you do a manual gradient. Tutorial coming up in just a few seconds. Alrighty. Commonsetta is so worried about advertising Audacity. And Audacity to me is new product that it's actually messing with me. It's messing with my work. It's getting annoying. Alrighty, we're going to start off with the eyebrow here, because the eyebrow is what really stands out with this eye. The eye is actually kind of simple, but we have that kind of almost evil. We have that bushy eye that's always the bad guy in the old 1950s movie. He's always the Russian or the whatever from the communist bloc. He has a bushy eyebrow. I always thought that was hilarious. I don't have bushy eyebrows, but I still thought it was hilarious. So, kind of a weak reason to be evil, but it was the 1950s. So he has a bushy eyebrow, or she, maybe it's a she. We don't know that this is. Doing a standard ellipse for the eye. Duplicating it, pulling the inner eye in. I will make it yellow. Want a thin line there. Transparency, so to depend on the back. We're just going to cascade it in a little bit, kind of do the radial gradient ourselves. I need to put that at the front of this tutorial. Red, yeah. He's evil. She's evil. It's a red kind of flame on top of your yellow eyes. It's funny, I have green eyes with yellow rings around them, so am I saying something? Am I confessing to something? So we're not going to do perfectly round highlights here. We're going to do kind of offset highlights. Egg shape more than perfectly round. Let's do that again. You can put one right on top of the pupil if you want. So I want to see some of the red and some of the black underneath through the transparency. Let's group all that together to one nice thing. Grab everything else. I just want to mess with the line a little bit. I miss that inner circle. Don't want to mess up the pupil itself, or the pupil itself, but I just want to mess up the iris a little bit, make it a little bit off shaped. Now squeeze everything down a little bit. If you're holding down the control key and you use your mouse wheel over a shape, it will select multiple points, and I hate that. That is so annoying. I don't know, it just brought up a pop-up window for some reason. I hit the wrong shortcut button, I guess. Let's do it. We're just going to do a gray under area under the eye, showing a little bit of tiredness. I don't think I want it totally black, but a little bit off. Now I'm going to put one up above it, kind of suggest an eyelid. An imperfect eyelid. It doesn't really cover the whole eye. Alrighty. We need to tweak and trim our shape here, but that's pretty much it. It's a simple eye. If you got something out of this, definitely like and subscribe. There's more coming. All glory to God. And I will see you in the next video.